I know what you're going to say. I know you're thinking it. Chuck, you came in here a couple weeks ago. You said you were going to have weekly shows. You were getting back into the swing of things, but you fucking lied to us. So we deserted you. We're no longer here for you. But you know what? I'm still here for you. What's up, everybody? This is Chuck from the ITXP. And this is going to be a few episodes relating to my journey to become a CISSP. All right. I know you guys are probably groaning, or you all are probably groaning right now. You're like, look, you told us you weren't going to be going to security. Why are you doing this? You hated it. But sometimes you have to roll with the punches in life, and you have to figure out what the frack you want to do so you can become or maintain some sort of relevance within this industry. And as you get older, you're going to be like, all right, I'm going to have to cave in and become the man. So that's one of the things that was a really tough decision for me, especially with all the changes that were going on at work, with the many layoffs, the layoffs that have just completed over the last 2 weeks, and then those folks that are also leaving because of the uncertainty. And that's what happens during organizational change. You get people that are uncertain that are able to leave, and they decide to leave. You'll see very quickly that all the good people leave. And you're like, Chuck, aren't you a good person? Yes, I think highly of myself like that, but I have other reasons for staying. First and foremost, flexibility of time. I'm able to work from home whenever I want, and I'm able to go into the office at your non-standard time without any repercussions. There's nobody looking for me. I take calls while I'm in transit. I answer questions. I even did a presentation while driving 80 miles an hour and was able to accurately and succinctly answer questions relating to a technology that I'm fully well versed in, I should say. So, why CISSP? I've been doing this 20 plus years, going on 23, I think, at this point. And there is no progression for me in the infrastructure space. I think I've tapped that out. Of course, I can continue going down the management route, which is also an option, an opportunity for me. But there's going to be at some point where infrastructure is just a dead-end job. And that's my own opinion. That's not something that is trending or anything like that. I can obviously continue down the path of data analysis or data engineering. I can go down that path, which I thought about as well. And while interesting as it is, it's something that really requires more time with hands on keyboard than I would like. I really need something that's sustainable for me to continue at the level that I've been at without having hands on keyboard. And security really is that move for me because it's not so much hands on keyboard in terms of actually doing things, writing script, writing code, or anything like that. The route I'm doing is more of a managerial level and writing up policies, architecting solutions and the like, and not doing the actual implementations, which honestly was the picture that was painted to me when I joined this organization, my current organization. And it was like that. It was very much so that the case where I was architecture / engineering. And it was a good move. And like everything else, things change. The organization gets shooken up and departments change, reporting structures change, roles change, and I was lumped essentially with the ops team. And not so much that there is an ops team. I am the ops team. I'm responsible for end-to-end management of all the products that I manage. And there's 14 of them. So think about that. Think about the changes in where I came in mainly to do the engineering and handing off everything to ops to taking it end to end. So from architecture, engineering, project management, operations, monitoring, lifecycle management, capacity management, all for 14 different products with a team of maybe 15. But in reality, 3 people, 3 of them, well, let's say 5. 3 are domain admins and 2 are Windows engineers that don't have domain admin privileges. So it's a lot. It's a lot to take, and I don't sit there and complain and say what's going on, but it's putting a strain on my career progression. I feel like I'm going backwards, and I need to do something to shake it up. So I said, all right, let's address the 800-pound gorilla in the room, and let's see what I can do with this. So on October 30th, I'm going to sit for the CISSP. I'm funding this out of my own pocket, and most people are like, why? And I've said this before. You need to be the CEO of you. You need to own your own career, and sometimes that involves investing in your career. Remember, you're providing a service to your organization, to others. So how can you make that service more valuable? You need to invest in yourself. Most of you may be in an organization that will pay for your certifications. And I'm sure if I went to my management team and said, hey, look, I want to take the CISSP, will you fund it? They'll be, sure, no problem. But then I'm beholden to them that I'm going to give my professional career to them for a certain amount of time or whatever it may be, whatever the restrictions or the rules are on that. Because obviously, if an organization is going to pay for you to take a certification exam or even take a class, they're going to want something back from you. And the way I look at it, if I'm a third-party vendor sitting in your office, I'm going to get certified to add more value, and you didn't have to pay for it monetarily. Let's put it. I want to clarify that monetarily, because like we all know that not everyone in our organization works 8 to 10 hours a day, whether they're in the office or not. We know that they don't work 8 to 10 hours a day in the normal 8 to 6 or 9 to 5, whatever your work schedule is. We may work 10 to 16 hours a day, but it's not, for the most part, it's never consecutive, right? It's going to be, I'm going to take a chunk of time here, I'm going to take a chunk of time here, I'm going to take a chunk of time here, I'll take another chunk at night. So mixed in during the regular business hours, quote unquote regular business hours, there are many of us that are probably studying, are watching training videos, are learning something new on the company's dime. So you're being paid to learn, but the company isn't giving you additional funding for that. They may purchase a team package for your training course, whether it be Linux Academy or whatever other ones are out there. I always fall back on Linux Academy. But that's the effort that they're putting in. Some of you may not even be dealing with that. Some of you may be struggling to get training. And it may be very expensive for you to fund a lot of this stuff on your own. And I've said this time and time again. You need to make sacrifices to do what you want to do to get where you want to go. So you need to keep an eye out for certain things. What I always do is I always recommend signing up for free trials and making sure you deselect the box or cancel the subscription before the trial expiration. So I've done that for the CISSP endeavor because honestly, there were certain benefits that I found to purchasing some of these materials that would be beneficial in the long term. So after the October 30th date, obviously I have to do my continuing education credits and the like. So it made sense for me to put out of pocket for some of these training subscriptions. So when I say sign up for these free trials and see what it offers you, really actively do it. Don't just sit on it. Some of them may be 7 days, some of them may be 14 days, some of them may be a month. Who knows? But give it a shot and check it out. Now, I'm going to give you some of the recommendations that I've had that I signed up for, because I just feel like there's this wealth of information out there that may or may not be tapped. And everybody has their own unique view on what resources are good for you. And what may be beneficial to me may not work for you. So you have to keep that in mind. Everything I'm going to tell you, take it with a grain of salt, because you're going to need to make that decision. You're going to need to look at what resources I'm providing to you and see how beneficial they are to you. So if you're thinking about learning or going down the CISSP path, my first recommendation would be to get another certificate. If you don't have any security certificates, start with Security Plus. That's my first recommendation. That'll put you into the mindset of what you need to learn. And just start with Security Plus. And then if you want to go to CISSP, then that's fine. But just start with Security Plus. Just demonstrate that you're actually focused on a security path as opposed to whatever path you're in today. And if you don't have any certifications, start with Security Plus. That's really comes down to it. You're going to hear people say, oh, it's worthless, blah, blah, blah. But you'll also find that in the government sector, that's one of the required certificates for you to have. Now, that's changing. I think starting in 2021, I think they're going to require more vendor-specific certifications. And I think CISSP is going to be one of them. But right now, Security Plus, go for it. Do it. You can get a nice job working in the government, provided that you understand that you're not going to get paid a lot, and you probably will be taking things a lot slower than you do in corporate America. Not as slow as it had been previously, but I believe over the last 5 to 10 years, things have picked up a bit in the government as they're starting to see the value of having certified security professionals implementing certain things. Now, I could be totally off base, but it depends on who you talk to and which branch of the government they're in, which department, and the like. It's still very much bureaucratic from what I understand, but just know that it's not going to be the same as if you worked in corporate America, especially in some of the faster-paced industries like finance and marketing and advertising, even biopharmaceuticals. So just keep that in mind. So if you don't have any certifications, start with Security Plus. If you have certifications and you're trying to go into security route, start with Security Plus, and then from there you can think about going to CISSP route. So we're talking about CISSP today. Your very first resource should be the CISSP subreddit. Now, lately, it's been a bunch of, hey, I passed, I scored, I passed at 100 questions in this amount of time. It's almost like a race now, it seems like. People are trying to get stats on how quickly they pass the exam. Now, I'm actually getting concerned with the number of people that are passing it this quickly, because the CISSP from the onset was that gold star certification. When you got it, you wrote your ticket anywhere you wanted to. It was a very lengthy exam, 6 hours you were given. It was on paper, and it was something to really kind of think about before you went in and did it. But now I'm looking and I'm seeing many people have passed under 2 hours. This last person that passed at 100 questions within an hour and 30 minutes. And you're asking, why do you know it's 100 questions? What do you mean? Blah, blah. Well, it's now become an adaptive test. So it's computer-based, no more paper. Over the past 3 years, I think they've changed. No more paper, computer adaptive. So the questions get harder based on how you answer. And with many more folks passing at this fast pace, have they changed the format or structure or quality of the exam? That's what I need to understand. Has the quality of the exam changed, or are people really more focused on CISSP or security theories? A lot of these folks that I'm seeing have less than 5 years experience. So in my mind, I'm like, why are you even sitting at the exam? And it's it's one of those things where it's like, what's going on? I think we're seeing a lot more folks like myself that have been in the industry 20 plus years, taking our sweet old time. But I think once you realize that we can get in there, and we've been doing a lot of the security stuff, at least for the better part of 15 years, I would say, we infrastructure folk have been the security folks. But now that security has been segregated from regular IT, it's just concerning to me. So anyway, go to the CISSP subreddit. If you don't know what Reddit is, it's a bulletin board system. Please sign up for it. You don't have to use your real name. I would recommend that you don't, and that's just my personal preference. I'm not going to say what my Reddit username is. That's not what happens in Reddit. But check out the CISSP subreddit, and you'll actually find that if you've never been on Reddit before, that you'll get a wealth of information in there. And you'll be able to connect with other like-minded folks to kind of help you find your way. So the CISSP subreddit is your first one. It's going to give you a lot of information on what people have used, the training materials that people are asking for. They actually have folks giving away or selling their study materials. So it's really good to read the stories about people's journeys before they were CISSP, sometimes after they were CISSP. So it's a good site to use. Now, with anything on the internet, I feel like I shouldn't have to say this, but take it with a grain of salt. Please take it with a grain of salt. So CISSP subreddit, go for it. The next thing that I actually started using well before I even found the CISSP subreddit on Reddit is the cybrary.it website. Cybrary, cybrary.it. It's a security-focused training site that offers free videos, free training. You're like, no, it can't be free. Yeah, it's free. 100% free. Now, there are paid portions of it, but that's more for live training sessions that they do, and you get access to their career center and the like. So cybrary.it is your place for free training. Kelly Handerhand's videos are excellent. She has this unique ability to present the information in a consumable fashion that it's not overly technical. Now, I'm going to get into an audiobook that I purchased that I won't recommend, but hear me out. Kelly is a seasoned security professional. She's been doing it most of her career in a formal fashion. And she has that uncanny ability to kind of sit there in her calm nature and present the material to you in a consumable fashion. This is what's going to help you understand the material. Because if you have a knucklehead like me from the Northeast that talks 1,000 miles a minute, 1,000 words a minute, then it's not going to be beneficial to you. So Kelly Handerhand's videos are highly touted by a number of folks on the subreddit. Even outside the subreddit, there is a need to to view those videos. And since they're free, go for it. Now, there is a pro subscription package. I wouldn't recommend it at the price that you see today on the site. Register for the site, get access to the site. Again, it's free. And then wait for the sales to come in. I think I paid $169 for a year subscription for Pro. And I think it's a lot more than that. So take it with a grain of salt. They're, like I said, with the Pro, you can access the live trainings, and you can also get the access to the Career Center. Sorry, I was just getting distracted by something at work. So cybrary.it, free with a paid option, but I don't recommend the paid option at the current price. Wait for a sale. Black Friday is coming up. I told you about my story with Linux Academy at Black Friday. So it's a good idea to wait for those sales, and since their material is free, it's a good way to go. Now we'll see a lot of people so that's the second resource. The third resource is going to be the CyBEX book for the ISC squared CISSP training. There is a Cybrary book that I'm trying to pull it up now. It's just a little bit slow on my phone, and you're like, whoa, phone. Yeah, I'm still one of those people that are very much digital in mind. I love digital platforms. I told you I have my iPad, and it gives me the ability to carry everything that I need. Now, if you look at this CISSP official book, sorry, it's the I was trying to see what edition it is, but I have the practice tests on here, so I'm just trying to figure out what. Here it is. It's the. Let me go back to the title. And I'll tell you where I'm looking at this, and then you'll understand my pain. So this has got to be fun for you guys, just listening to this nonsense. 8th edition. It was the 8th edition that was published at the end of 2018. May of 2018. Shit, right before or right after the updated version of the CISSP exam. So there's the CyBEX official study guide. You'll hear a lot of people talk about that. They also have a practice test, second edition, that was published in June of 2018. There is a reference document, a guide to the CISSP Common Body of Knowledge, 5th edition, which was published earlier this year. And it's essentially the reference on what the exam's all about, and why you want to take it, blah 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 blah, and talks about the domains and the like. So it's a little condensed version of this, but it's gotten a lot of traction in terms of who's using it and the like. So it's something to look out for. And if you want to buy it, I would recommend getting the first two, and then looking at this reference document for a little bit of a little bit more condensed information. All right. So the CyBEX official study guide for ISC squared has been highly recommended. You should go get it. So that's the third resource that you're going to look at. The next one is the CISSP all-in-one exam guide, 8th edition, with Sean Harris. Now, Sean has unfortunately passed away. I think her last edition was the 6th edition, but they've been continuing to republish that material with some obvious changes. The bulk of it has been vetted by many folks, and Sean Harris was one of the top CISSP professionals that really broke down the information in a consumable fashion. It's a lot of information, and that book is well over 1,000 pages. It's very thick and heavy. I had not seen a paperback copy yet, but it's something that everybody says that Schoen's done. It's published by McGraw-Hill. It's the gold cover books. You know how McGraw-Hill has those fat books um, in the bookstores. Have you ever been to a bookstore over the past couple years? I know they've dwindled in size, but you'll still see them there. The big fat, thick, hardcover McGraw-Hill books, and it's just like, oh my god, why do I need that? So that's the fourth resource. That's CISSP All-in-One Exam Guide, 8th edition. Sean Harris and Fernando Maymi, Maymi, and it's published by McGraw-Hill. Those two books are the most recommended books on the CISSP subreddit because they contain the most wealth of information out there. So obviously you can either read it cover to cover, or you can pick some of the domains that you want to focus in on and just jump in there. It's not, I don't believe it's meant to be read cover to cover like that, but you can pick a subject that you're not strong in and just delve deeper into that. The fourth one I'm going to recommend is something that I've actually been using in preparation for this exam, is the BOSIN XSIM Max exam simulator. Sorry. And it has about 150. No, bullshit. It's more than that. I'm confusing the two products I'm looking at right now. It's a lot of questions, and you can do a study version of the questions or run a full simulation of the test itself. Excuse me. And just go through it. It's going to help you with that study taking ability, not so much giving you information or learning, because you should know the material, but it will help you with being prepared to take an exam like that. Take it in small chunks at a time. Do a couple of questions here and there. And it's a good tool to use even for non-CISSP exams. I've used BOSIN for many, many years. I'm laughing a little bit because most of us that have been around know that the exam simulators have been around for well over 20 years. And it's one of those things we used to find and download and be able to test with and practice on, right? So we used to get this stuff for free. So I went ahead and started buying I bought the exam simulator again during a sale around this time of year. Think about the holiday season when they have sales. And it's been a very powerful program. The only thing I don't like about it, you have to run it on a Windows PC. I don't believe there's even a Mac version, but I could be wrong. So for me, that's a challenge because if you've been following this podcast, this show, you'll understand that I moved to an iPad Pro and I haven't looked back since. So not having that exam simulator with me at all times is a struggle. So the BOSIN exam simulator, the CISSP, make sure you get the right version. There's a 2018 version, so get that and use it. Don't just install it, do it one time, and use it. That's what it's there for. In the study mode, you'll actually be able to go as you answer the question. They'll mark it right or wrong, and if you're wrong, you'll see why you're wrong. It'll give you why the other answers were incorrect, and it'll put you in that frame of mind because, again, the exam, the CISSP exam is really all about doing the best thing. There's always a best answer or the right answer. It's not going to be the most technical answer either. And that's one thing you need to really understand. And I've been learning over the past couple years because my journey really started in 2016 when I was like, all right, let me fart around with this and see what I can do. I actually signed up for it, registered for it once, and then had to reschedule. Every time you reschedule, you got to pay, and then I finally canceled it, and I had to pay to cancel it. So I was like, shit, I just spent all that money to to waste, essentially. So take the test, the exam simulator, use it, and do the little sample tests that they have there, and just kind of figure out how you're going to be able to prepare for your testing, because testing and studying are two different things. You may study everything you want, but if you can't test well, and some of us can't, you're going to find yourself struggling. So the BOSIN XSIM exam simulator for CISSP 2018 is my recommendation. It's the 5th resource that you should look at if you want to go down this route. The next resource that I'm a fan of is this book called The 11th Hour CISSP 3rd edition. Now, it was published in 2016, and from my understanding, the author, Eric Conrad, is working on a 4th edition, but the 3rd edition still has the information that you require. Remember, the exam went from 10 domains into 8, and really the reason they did that is because it kind of combined some of the domains into one. So the 11th Hour book, 11th Hour CISSP 3rd edition by Eric Conrad, another one of those most recommended books out there, and I've been reading it, and it's good. It's quick. It's just meant to be consumed within a short amount of time. Most people use it for the weekend before their exam, so that's something to keep in mind. And that's my 6th recommendation for you, the 11th Hour CISSP. All right, so here's the deal. I gave you, apart from the exam simulator, I gave you recommendations that are books. Books that you can get digitally or books that you can get physically. If you're going to get the physical books, you're going to need your own trunk to carry these around because they're very thick. Even if they're in your backpack, you're going to start developing back problems because of these books. My solution to this is doing it digitally. But what I found was, and again, this was something that I've used for many years, this company, and always wanted to pull the trigger on purchasing their training solutions, but just the cost wasn't there for me until I got a discount. And it was just because I waited long enough and I paid attention. It was literally the last day of the discount that I noticed the email coming in, and I signed up for it. I just snagged it without even thinking. Yes, because I had done the 7-day trial, and this company doesn't ask you to put a credit card in, so you get the 7-day trial, and if you want to join, you can. If not, all right. It's and the company is O'Reilly. How many of us have used O'Reilly books over the years? It's a great freaking company, and it doesn't get as much love as it needs to. So I signed up for the O'Reilly Safari Online, their whole training catalog, from books to video. How can you beat that? And I only paid $199. Their normal price is $399. Even at $399, it's a good value for an individual because you have access to their entire catalog, from infrastructure to security to data analytics to artificial intelligence and machine learning. You have access to their entire catalog, and it's insane that people don't recommend it more. If you look on your bookshelf today, how many O'Reilly books do you have? O'Reilly is the king in this technology space. They've been around forever. So I signed up for it. And what did I do? I created a playlist for all CISSP topics. And there's so much more stuff there. So much more. There's the Pearson video series. There's another video series by Thor Peterson. And I believe this gentleman does something on Udemy as well, but it's in here. There's so much stuff in here that it's so difficult to go through. that it's great. So I said, why not? Why not sign up for it? Why not do it? So I did. And I have access to the entire library. So that's how I was able to scan those books and carry around with me. Those resources that I told you about. Those are all available in the O'Reilly online library. So whether it's the Cybex book, whether it's the McGraw-Hill book with Sean Harris, it's in there. And it's a wealth of knowledge, even after. Because the problem with those books is once you buy them, they're just sitting on your shelf because you already passed the exam. You already passed the exam. So what are you going to do with those books? With this online library, I don't need it anymore. But I still have access to it if I need to pull something out that I need to remember. But it's quickly searchable. Their index is great. I love O'Reilly. I don't know why I never went with them. I should have pulled the trigger earlier. I wound up paying for stuff that I didn't want. And my dog's barking. So if you could swing it, sign up for the O'Reilly online library because it's just, I don't know how, it's good. It's great. So that's my other recommendation, my seventh recommendation, the O'Reilly Online Library. Now, I told you about my challenge with the XSIM Max, right? The Bosun practice exam. I don't have access to it on my phone. I just don't have access to it. So what I wound up doing is the CISSP actually has quote unquote official exam, and it's done by LearnZap, and I believe it's from the Cybex book. So you may get the practice questions from there. So just check it out. It's a CISSP study. There's a CISSP study as well as a CISSP test. So that you get a bank of tests questions on your phone. It's only a maximum of 150 questions. I don't know how often they recycle those questions, but it's a good go-to for when you're on the go, when you're sitting in the doctor's office or somewhere where you have to wait long. It's good to use that. So that's the CISSP official apps on your app store, whether it's the app store for iOS or the Play Store for Android or Amazon or whatever. They're there. I don't know actually. I spoke without understanding. I don't know if they have Android tests or apps. So that's something you need to check out. From the Cybex official study guide. So it's the practice questions from there. And that's my last recommendation that I'm going to put for today. The stuff that I've been using really is been catered from most of the information on the subreddit. So that's what I recommend. I've vetted these out. These are fairly technical, but consumable, right? Understandable. And if you're really considering going through this, it's something that is going to take up most of your time. I have to be honest with you. You're going to get bored sometimes. It's like, oh my God, this is so nonsensical. But think about the nature of security. It's completely different. It's not very much technical. So it's one of those things where you just kind of have to pain through it, man. So today is October 4th. I have my exam on the 30th. I will record another session to kind of give you an update of where I'm at. But let's take this journey together. If you're listening to this in the future from today, let's start together now. And let's see what we can accomplish in 26 days. So this is Chuck, the ZITXP. I'll talk to you later.